Hello, friends, and welcome back to Dare Me to Prosper. My name is Avery. This is episode 43. I think it's 43. Today's episode is not going to be a teaching episode. Today's episode is going to be a venting episode, because if you cannot tell by the title, I'm having a rough time. I think a lot of us are having a rough time, and I try to say this often on the podcast, but I never want this to come across as me coming from a high horse where I have it all figured out and I'm teaching you from a place of like all knowing. I am not. I am sharing as I go, as I learn things, as I pursue personal growth and inner work on my own. I like to turn around and share what I'm doing and what I'm learning and how I'm growing with you. That being said, this is very much like real life. And as I am going through my own struggles, I'm learning and growing and also failing and struggling and not having a good time. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And really, my goal is just for you to be able to relate to this and maybe just feel a little bit encouraged that you're not the only one struggling. And so it's going to be part pep talk, part vent session, because this is what I would want somebody to tell me if someone else were talking to me, and I'm going to give that to myself and to you. So why does the universe hate me? Oh, it's been a rough week. I know we had a super moon, a full moon, a very charged full moon. And I don't know about y'all, but that was hell. I've done a lot of crying. I've done a lot of processing. And it's frustrating because, you guys know I'm in a very transitional point in my life, right? I am going through a divorce. I am living with my parents while I try to get on my feet and move myself and my children to where we will be eventually settling down. All things considered, it's not as bad as it could be. And I'm very thankful that I have a place to stay with my parents and that the divorce is a lot more cordial and calm than it could be. And like many other people deal with, I'm very thankful for it going as well as could be expected under the circumstances. That being said, you don't get out scot-free. Like, it's just not an easy transition. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that I'm about to talk about, it doesn't have anything to do with my ex-husband. Like, I am very content with my decision to leave that marriage. And genuinely, I did all of the hard parts of that relationship while I was still in it. So all of the stuff I'm dealing with now doesn't even have to do with that. It's more so the aftermath of living life in the in-between. And just to make this more real, I want you to know that I have paused. I'm 3 minutes into this podcast? I've paused about 4 times to yell at my kids in the 4 minutes that I've been recording, not even. So it's very real life over here. My cortisol is very high. I'm starting a new medication today to help me just not feel like I'm in fight or flight all the time. And again, it's not even the leaving of the relationship that has put me here. It's the cortisol of kind of living in a space that's not fully my own, and the financial stress and the stress of trying to make sure my kids aren't breaking stuff and just trying to take care of everybody and all of those things. And something that I realized recently was what this feels like, the point of life that I'm in right now, what it feels like is, you guys, here we go. You know, I love a metaphor. I feel like when I was still living with and in a relationship with my ex, I felt like I was a bird in a cage, right? And I was a bird in a cage just dying and dreaming to like get out. I wanted to get out of the cage. I just felt trapped. I felt like if I can just get out of the cage, everything will be better. If I can just get out of this cage, everything will be fine. I was so focused on getting out of the cage that I didn't think about how I was going to actually fly after getting out of the cage. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get out of the cage and I'm at my parents and I'm, settled and things are good. But I realize that the second I get out of the cage, I think I'm going to fly and instead I fall on my face because I didn't get to practice flying while I was in the cage. Does that make sense? This is how my brain thinks about it. And so basically now I am like a bird that has to like I'm like an adult bird that has to learn to fly now, right? I was a stay-at-home mom for 11 years. And I had jobs in between and I started businesses, but I never was the sole breadwinner or supporter. And so now I'm having to do that. Do I wish, looking back, I had done that differently? Yes, I do. But I'm also glad I got to stay home with my kids. It's not all bad. But now in my head, when I had pictured that I would be flying, at this point, I'm not. I am struggling and my stress is through the roof. And my nervous system is learning how to still come down from being in fight or flight for so long. I mean, I had a rough childhood, right? And then I had good years. And then, eventually I grew up and got married and my relationship went south. And then my body was in fight or flight for a long time. Again, years and years. And so now I'm having to coach my body how to reset my nervous system all over again. And that's hard and it takes a long time and it's a lot of work. And I'm certainly not doing it without the help of medication, to be fully forthcoming. And I say all of that to say, one, just to be frank and tell you, that my life is not rainbows and butterflies, even though I'm so glad to be out of where I was, but also to kind of share with you my perspective on this topic energetically and from a spiritual perspective, right? Because I am someone that is always trying to figure out what is my next best move? Like, what can I do right now to improve my situation? What can I do right now to help my nervous system? What can I do to take care of myself? What can I do to build my business? Like, what can I be doing? I'm always scheming somehow or another to fix things or to build things. And that pressure that I put on myself is part of the reason that I'm so stressed out. But in the same breath, I have done so much inner work. I've improved my nervous system so much. I have learned so much. I have processed so many feelings. I have met with a therapist. I've done all of the things. And it's still not, I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel yet. Now, do I believe that the light at the end of the tunnel is coming? Absolutely. Do I believe that the state that I am in is forever? Absolutely not. However, I've always been someone, and maybe you can relate to this, that struggles in limbo. I'm one of the most impatient people you will ever meet. I hate living in the in-between. I hate the phase of life where something is about to change, but you are not there yet and you can't speed it up. It's like being pregnant. Hate it. I hate, especially the end where it's like, the baby's coming. Now, granted, I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful. I had 3 very healthy pregnancies. I'm very, very grateful for that. But just the waiting and the suffering, like while you're waiting for something, so hard. When you say you're going to move or you got a new job or something, and it's like, everything is about to change, but you can't speed it up. You just bought a house, but you have to wait for closing. Like that feeling, I hate that feeling. I'm so impatient. I'm like, just put me there already. And so, that's probably part of the lesson that the universe is, teaching me right now is like that I can't do that. Like life doesn't work that way. You have to go through the transformation period. I'm like a caterpillar. I don't want to spend any time in the cocoon. I just want to be a freaking butterfly. I'm over it. I don't want to do my time in the cocoon. You know what I mean? And I am in a long cocoon phase right now and it sucks and I hate it. But I'm like, while I'm here, while I'm in the cocoon, while I have to be waiting anyway, I might as well do as much work I can do to speed it up or to make the process better or what have you. And so that's what I do. But the issue or, the problem here, the reason I'm here to vent is because it's still hard. It's hard when you feel like you're showing up and you're doing the work and you're doing all the things and things don't land as quickly as you want them to land, or something is coming in and that XYZ, is coming, but you can't be there today. You can't get there yet. That feeling sucks, especially when you feel like I've done everything right. I've done so much work. I've done 10 times more work than other people around me. Like, why can't I just arrive already? Especially if you're somebody like me where you look back and you're like, I've been in some traumatic kind of lifestyle for most of my life, years and years and years. I'm like, I'm ready to catch a break. When is my life going? When will I have a year that feels like that was a good year? I don't think I can look back on that's not true. Maybe in college, I could look back and be like, that was a good year. I think that's it. I think that's all that I would really think back and think about my life in that way. And I don't want to whine, although I to be fair, this episode honestly is literally just me whining. I just want to acknowledge how unfair everything feels sometimes, because it feels like I don't want to get on here and be like, yeah, do this. And if you do this, your life will get better and this will change, because those things do change your life and the work does pay off. At the same time, sometimes it just sucks. Sometimes it feels so unfair. Sometimes it feels like I only get lemons, never lemonade, and the universe hates me. That is what it feels like. And it feels like maybe sometimes I'm almost being gaslit by the universe. Like I keep working towards a finish line that feels like it's never coming. Like I keep working towards a point that feels like it keeps being pushed back. Like every time I get up to a point where I think this year things will get better, and then the finish line moves and it never gets better. And at some point I start to go, I don't know how much longer I can keep believing that things are going to get better. Like, I don't know how much longer I can hold on to hope. Talking about nervous system, that will wreck your nervous system. Feeling like you are hopeful for years and years on end, but nothing ever really gets better. I have held the hope of maybe next year will be different every Christmas. I do this around the holidays. Every Christmas, I look at my life and I go, this year's hard. This holiday season, this is hard. Maybe next year will be the year when it feels better, when it feels a little bit easier. And I say that not taking anything for granted. My kids are healthy. I am healthy. I have a roof over my head. I have parents that have taken me in. I am lucky. And so this is not discounting that, because many people do not have what I have. Okay. I've got food. I've got safety. I've got shelter. I've got family that loves me. I've got healthy children. My divorce could be so much worse. Like, I'm not taking those things for granted. But just because you have things to be thankful for also doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have a hard time. Okay. So it can be both. You don't, just because there's other people in the world that have it worse than you do, and there always will be people that have it worse than you do, it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel upset or sad about your own life. Okay, so just to get that out. But it feels like it sucks, and this is a big reason why. Okay, this is something I talk about all the time. I talk about how your nervous system is a huge part of what allows you to align with the things that you want in your life. And part of this episode is just me coming on here to be like, I freaking hate these rules. I don't like this universal law. I don't like that it is this way. Why do we, who have been wounded, or people who have been through trauma, or who are struggling, you have to do the work to get your nervous system to a good place before you can be rewarded? Doesn't that feel so unfair? Yeah, it does. It does feel unfair. It feels like insult to injury. It feels like beating me while I'm down, beating people while they're down. Like, oh, you went through something hard? Well, now you have to fix your nervous system and heal before you can align with where you're meant to be. Right? Or even the way that manifestation works, where if you obsess over something, you will push it away. It's like the second that if you want to be in a relationship, for example, this is a very common one. You see it all the time. If you want to be in a relationship and you're like grasping for it, you really want it, and you're going on all these dates and you're trying to meet people and you think about it all the time, guess what? You're pushing it away. You're not going to bring it in. The second that you give up and you go, you know what? F this. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't even want to date anybody. Boom. Somebody comes into your life. That happens so often. Okay. That is another example of rules that I hate. Like, why, when you want something so badly, is that the exact thing that pushes it away? Who made that rule? I don't like it. I don't like that rule. To me, it makes much more sense that if I want something so badly, I can just have it by wanting it. You know what I mean? Like, why is it opposite day? Why are we doing all these things backwards? I don't know. And sometimes it just feels like, if you can hear my kids stomping upstairs, just ignore that. I don't have the energy in me to yell again right now. It just feels like there's a big disconnect between the spiritual teachings, the way that the universe works, and lived reality sometimes. Like, it just, from a human perspective, like, I get it. It's like, I've researched this. I know all the right answers. I know that ultimately, like, why things need to work this way, but I'm still human. And I think, you know what? I understand, right? There's a higher and there's a better reason that it all has to work that way, but it sucks. It sucks having to live it out. I'm like, who designed this, right? Was it me? Was it my own soul who decided that I wanted to walk through all these trials? Because I want to talk to her. I've got some things to say. I'm upset about it. Like, who the hell signed me up for this? And why does it feel like it's so much easier for so many other people and not me, right? We've all thought that. It feels like a full-time job trying to manage your nervous system, trying to manage your energy, especially when you're someone like me who naturally runs high cortisol. That has always been my natural state. Now, given That's fair. My body learned to do that throughout my childhood, throughout different situations in my life. My body learned, because it was trying to keep me safe, to keep my stress levels high so I could try to protect myself, so I could be aware of my surroundings, so I could, try to stay safe and alive. It was my body trying to protect me. But now that same habit is blocking me from all of the things that I want. And now it's my job to try to heal that, to undo all that. And it's freaking hard. You have to heal your relationship with money. Why? I'm not the one that ruined it in the first place, right? I had a very traumatic childhood with a lot of issues around finances and just being poor and not having basic needs and all of these things. But now it's my job as an adult to heal that. That feels unfair. And it's a full-time job, it feels like to me, I will say this, it's not a full-time job to everybody who's not doing inner work, but if I'm doing the inner work and I'm really trying to heal these things, it feels like a full-time job. It feels like I constantly need to be aware of my cortisol levels. I constantly need to be aware of my energy, my perspective, my emotions, because I'm trying not to let my body run on autopilot. I'm trying to be aware of my autopilot habits so that I can fix them and so that I can manifest the things that I want and I can pursue the life that I want and I can be aligned with my highest purpose and all of those things. But it feels really unfair sometimes because it's like, well, why do I struggle so much with like anxiety or even depression or being such a sensitive person, and when it feels like other people just came into the world with stronger boundaries. Other people just came into the world being able to handle high levels of stress very easily. Some people just came into the world with an easy childhood, so they weren't handed the bad cards right in their childhood like I was. And those people got to grow up without all these wounds that I now have to undo as an adult. How is that fair? It's not. It's not fair. And from a higher perspective, and I've talked about this on other episodes, right? I do believe in like soul contracts and plans and lessons, and that from the soul perspective, we don't see it from the way we see it from a human perspective. Like we see it as like all of the lessons that we've learned and all of the work that we've done, that's something to be celebrated. That's something that we are glad to do. From a human perspective, when we're here, I'm like, I'm not glad to do this shit. This sucks. I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, I've just been rambling angry for 20 minutes, okay? But there are lessons here to be learned and just encouragement, okay? I just want to emphasize here that being angry because of your situation is a valid spiritual response. Not even like a valid human response. It's a valid spiritual response, because what is happening is you're just asking to be recognized. You're asking to be acknowledged in your feelings. We all want to be acknowledged for how difficult these things are, for having to endure things for so long without any breaks, without any reprieve, without any reward. It's hard when you're doing all of the right things and you're still hitting blocks. You should be angry. That is a healthy response to have. Because honestly, if you don't get angry like that sometimes and you don't let that emotion come out and you don't process that, you're probably going to bury it. Or, like maybe you're somebody who has kind of slipped into this toxic positivity kind of space where you're like, I'm not allowed to feel negative. I'm not allowed to feel angry. I don't want to ruin my vibration. I don't want to get off my path by having these negative emotions. Don't do that. The worst thing you can do is to not process your emotions. The only thing you don't want to do is sit in that emotion forever. But we don't sit in that emotion forever, right? Eventually, even if it takes some of us longer than others, we get through it, we process it, but you don't want to avoid feeling it. Feel it, let it out, cry, scream, move your body, do what you need to do to let that emotion out of your body. And then once the emotion's out of your body, it's like when you cry. I did this the other day, sobbed, right? Just having a rough day and it sucks. And in the moment you're like, I hate this. Everything feels so unfair. Everything feels like it's against me. All the odds feel stacked against me. Why is this so hard? But then you get it out and you feel a little better, not because everything has changed, but because you got that emotion out of your body. And I know this is it almost makes me angry to say this because I'm like, I feel like I'm gaslighting myself, but sitting in anger or venting or wrestling with unfairness, it is part of your spiritual journey. It's not a detour from it. It is part of the process. You cannot learn lessons if you never encountered something hard, something difficult. Like, as I sit here and complain about everything, I also, on the other hand, can look at my entire life and think, wow, how far have I come? Look at the person that I am today versus the person that I was 10 years ago. I was a completely different person. And I'm proud of all the work that I've done. I'm proud of what I went through in my childhood and where I stepped up. Even though I was a child, I was just surviving. I was just doing what I needed to do. I'm proud of the work that I did. And I'm proud that I've become someone that is so self-aware and really does everything that I know how to do to become a better person day after day. And I'm proud of that. I make all sorts of mistakes. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm proud of myself for the work that I have done. And I couldn't have done the work if everything had always been easy. So even though it doesn't really make it better to think of this, sometimes I do just like to remember that the people who have not been through as much hard things, because some people do have cushy lives, right? Some people have great childhoods and then they grow up and they have a great, wonderful career that they love and they make lots of money and everybody's healthy and everything's dandy and they take vacations and they whatever, nothing seems to ever go wrong for them. Okay, those people exist. Good for them. But while it sucks sometimes to sit here and be like, why is everything so hard for me? The fact that I have taken the opportunity to look back at my life or to take the hard situations in my life and actually learn from them has put me on a path where I have become a person that some people will never have the chance to become. Not becoming like me, but other people who have it really easy, those people, it's like they never go deeper. They never learn how to be this more full, more whole, more self-embodied person. Does that make sense? And that's not a negative thing on them. It's just the way that it is. Going through hard things gives you the opportunity. You have to take the opportunity, but it gives you the opportunity to change and to evolve into a really, I don't even know the word, expansive person. Like you've learned things and you've come away with lessons and it makes you a better person in a relationship. It makes you wiser. It makes you more understanding. It makes you a better person, for lack of better words. And so while you're allowed to sit and complain and be upset about the way things in your life might be going, I'm sitting here holding these two truths at once, right? On the one hand, I feel like life sucks right now. It could be so much worse. I'm thankful for the things that I do have, and I'm simultaneously upset that things don't always go my way or don't feel as easy as I feel like they should, or I'm not getting the break that I feel like I should get at this point, right? Like I'm 35 years into my life. Like when do I get an easy year? Like when do I actually get a break? When do things get to go well for me? I'm holding that frustration and that anger in one hand, while simultaneously in the other hand, holding the truth of I also know and recognize, one, that I have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for. And also, I know that every struggle I've had has made me the person that I am today and has probably bought me opportunities that I haven't even got to yet. So I'm also grateful for that. But the whole point of this episode is, one, to make you feel less alone if you also just feel angry at the universe right now. Like, why does the universe freaking hate me? Why can't I catch a break? I feel you and I'm with you and I'm going to keep growing and I'm going to keep, trying to process my emotions and change things and do things differently to the best of my ability. But I can also be mad about it sometimes. And so can you. So we will continue to publish episodes where we're not complaining, where we're just looking at ways that we can grow and be better and do better and heal and recognize trauma and all of those things. But today, I just needed to pause all the learning and growing and just be pissed for a second. So kudos to you if you have made it through this episode, because I feel like I've just been literally venting and complaining for half an hour. You're welcome. If you came here looking for wise words today, I am sorry that you did not get them. If you're looking for more wise words, I do a Patreon episode also every single week. So there is a bonus episode every single week. There's a link in the description if you are interested in getting into the nitty-gritty episodes where I go a little bit deeper, a little bit more personal, a little bit more spicy, all of those things. My email is also always open to you, daremetoprosper@gmail.com, if you want to ask a question or just communicate something. I love getting to see and connect with the people behind the numbers in terms of people that are actually listening. So just know that's always available. Don't forget to leave a review if you have not. That makes a really big difference for the podcast, and I really appreciate it. So I'll see you over in the Patreon if you are a patron member. And if you are not, I will see you here on next week's episode. Bye.